Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining me for my webinar, Parent Involvement Maps. Today we'll talk about why to involve parents. We'll also talk about what to share, how to hold a map parent night, and conclude our presentation. When we ask the question, why should we even get parents involved, you need to remember that students with involved in parents, no matter what the parent's education or background, are more likely to have better attendance records, earn higher grades and test scores, and have better social skills than those whose parents are not involved in school. So we all benefit when parents are involved, teachers, students, and those parents. There's research to back up these beliefs. Above average parent involvement shows student achievement rates 30% higher than those with below average involvement. So right there, we know that our students will be more successful in our classroom. Our test scores will show it when those parents are involved. When teachers report high levels of outreach to parents, test scores grow at a rate of 40% higher than schools with low levels of outreach. So that tells you that as a teacher, you need to reach out to those parents and not just wait for them to come to you. Really do your best in making phone calls, emails, and we'll talk about some more methods of getting them involved. Some parents stay away from the classroom. Some of these reasons might be that they grew up in families devoid of good parenting skills. Maybe they had a negative school experience, so coming to school or reaching out to school isn't a positive thing now. They may doubt their own literacy or academic skills. Maybe school was hard and still helping with homework and things like that is a hard task for them. They may be overwhelmed by situations outside of school. Work schedules, maybe there are things in the family going on, social situations that may be hard. They may speak little or no English, so when possible, please get a translator for those parents or translate notes that go home. They may come from a different culture where, parents being involved in the education just doesn't happen. They may feel hopeless or powerless. Maybe their child is struggling and maybe it's a motivation issue and they have given up. They don't know what else to do. They may be also unable to attend due to scheduling conflicts like working in the evenings or not having someone to watch younger children at home. So try to compensate for these avoidances, though. We really need to bring the parents in, and all the research shows that they will succeed when those parents are in there, so it will have a huge payoff. Some of the ways you can get the parents into the school are make efforts parent-driven. Have other parents help you send the message. Call home with good messages. If you call home and in a positive way invite the parents into school, they might be more likely to come, and it's always nice to have a positive phone call home. Advertise for parent help in popular public places. Meet them where they are. If you can't get if you can't get the parents attention from school sources, maybe put up some posters in the grocery stores or places like that to ask for some parent help. You might offer an activity like muffins with mom or donuts with dad, and in those activities you might have books out on tables that they're going to read together, or you might share your maps information right there. You might have a literacy lock-in at school where they come to school and you lock the doors, and not technically lock the doors, but everybody stays around and reads books and does math activities and things like that. Be specific about the task and ask parents to come. So let them know what they're getting into before the event. Be specific about it and let them know exactly what will take place at that activity. Provide childcare for them. That way they don't have to pay for childcare. They don't have to use that as an excuse for not coming. Student-led conferences are a great way to get parents to come to conferences. The students want to share out their information and what's going on in their classrooms. So if the conference is student-led, the student will go home encouraging their parents to come. And we're not against bribery. Offer some door prizes at meetings and events. Ask your local businesses if they might donate things. You could offer door prizes like educational games and things like that to play at home. Ask your booster club if they might donate a t-shirt or two to be your door prizes. Okay, so we want to get parents involved with MAP tests. And I'll show you a little video that proves that students care about their parents' reactions to great scores.
Should we look at it? It's really important. What's your young man, eh? Come in. Read that. I'm so young. Is that real? Yeah. Is that real? Yeah. My God! Are you sure? Yeah. We got the results today and we're getting proper paper tomorrow. Oh my God! Oh my God!
So what student wouldn't want to have that kind of reaction from their parents when they bring home their test scores? Okay, so we have some different MAP information to share with parents. Over to the side, I say make the information you share very user-friendly. We know as teachers coming into MAP, some of the scores and some of the reports and things can be quite confusing. I know they were to me when I was new to MAP. So make sure that you're always explaining things in very user-friendly terms and no jargon involved. You might offer a pamphlet, handout, or link on your website explaining what MAP is and how it measures progress. That the MAP test is adaptive. You definitely want to tell parents that once students get a couple questions correct, the questions get a little harder. Once students get a couple questions wrong, they get a little easier. You want to mention that it measures growth on an equal interval scale, kind of like a growth chart that is that you would mark growth through the years, that it isn't a percentile type scale that they should score, you know, in the 90th percentile every year or something like that. That this is a continual growth through the years. You would want to add the national norms for each subject by grade level. I know as a classroom teacher, I first saw their RIT ranges and I thought, well, what should a third grader score? And so if you add those national norms for parents, they would see about where their child should be falling. You want to also let the parents know which grades and subjects are tested. This varies from school to school. Some schools test their primary kids, some schools don't. Some only test on the NISA testing years, like 3rd through 8th and 11th. And you also want to let them know if they're testing in reading, math, language arts, or science. Sometimes that varies from school to school. Also, you want to let them know how often testing occurs. This also changes from school to school. You can test in the fall, winter, and spring, or any combination of those. So let them know how often you test so that you can look at the scores, look at the growth within those scores. Here I have samples of different brochures, websites, and a handout for you to look over and borrow ideas from. These are from actual schools who have used these, and they really do a nice job of wording their information so that it's understandable for parents. So I'll let you go ahead and take a look at those in your own time. Those links should all work for you. If for some reason they wouldn't, go ahead and email me. Okay, there are parent reports from NWEA that you can also share when you're sharing out MAPS data with parents. The first thing is a parent toolkit. The NWEA website has a whole parent toolkit that you can also use when you share that information. It's printable and it has a lot of great information. One point that you also might want to share is the student progress summary. So let's take a look at that. Here's the text version. On this, it will show actually all of the MAPS tests that the student has taken in their educational career. So parents can see the growth that students have made over the years. Then when you compare that to your normative data for the nation, they'll see if they are on grade level, performing on grade level as they get older. Maybe they started out below grade level, but through hard work, they've grown and now are at grade level. Maybe you'd see a dip and the parents would question motivation or maybe some gaps that they have in their education, and the parents could help out filling those gaps. You can also look at that same information in a graph, and many parents react well to these visual depictions of their students' growth. They can see where things rose or dipped or leveled off. So I would share both of those student progress reports, the graph version and the data version, depending on whether or not the parents are a visual learner or react to those numbers. You can also share that normative data that I also referenced before. And many of those samples that I gave you lay out the normative data in different ways. And so I encourage you to look at those samples and find the sample that means the most to you and use that for your school. You might also use some RIT charts. This example of a RIT chart does look like that growth chart that you might mark your child's growth in as they grow up, and it will show continuous growth, so that could stick with them through their educational career. They can see that growth that they're making. You might also use a goal setting worksheet. I think it's a very good idea to get parents involved in the goal setting. When they know the child's goals, they reinforce those things at home. They can also support you as a teacher and remind the student constantly about what they're working towards. Okay, so one way that you might want to share out all that information is by hosting a MAP parent night. The logistics of that might be to ask a few parents to help lead that meeting. Sometimes parents will react better to the information coming directly from other parents rather than always the teachers talking at them. You might choose one or even two convenient times so that you can meet all of your parents. Provide childcare with reading and math activities, maybe in your gym. A student organization like the Student Council or the FCCLA might help you monitor that. Otherwise, ask for volunteer teachers and paras. Maybe even some parents would help you out and go to the alternate session of the meeting. So, encourage attendance. If you feed them, they will come. Offer a few treats there. You might also offer a door prize for parents and maybe even one for the students who come to the session. Ask for parents' RSVPs, and then those who don't RSVP, call them, and they might respond that way. Send out reminders via email, Facebook, or the school all-call. Just meet the parents where they already are. Sometimes the notes get lost in book bags. Okay, so MAP 101. We want to give the parents MAP 101. So here's a video that you could watch from NWEA.
Every child starts at a different place, learning at a different pace. And no assessment or product is better able to capture those differences than NWEA's Measures of Academic Progress, or MAP. Based on over 30 years of research and refinement, our MAP assessments are computerized and adapt in real time to student responses and yield results that help pinpoint skills and knowledge. Here's how it works. Unlike most formative tests, MAP assessments are computerized and adapt in real time to student responses with test questions that pinpoint skills and knowledge. The first question a child sees helps to establish where they are in their learning on a subject. If a student answers correctly, he or she is presented with a more difficult item. If a student misses an item, he or she gets an easier question. This methodology yields rich, nuanced results that empower educators to make informed decisions. The results are built on an equal interval scale called RIT. It is extremely stable for consistent growth measurement over time. It also helps educators determine proficiency level, instructional readiness, and the selection of resources that provide just the right level of challenge. NWEA's MAP assessments were created by educators and scholars seeking to uncover the potential in every child. Today, NWEA employs scores of researchers who analyze data and continually improve assessments so that they best gauge student capacity in a variety of subjects and skills. Best of all, data from MAP assessments provide the kind of insights that teachers can act on almost immediately. MAP assessments yield data that support differentiated instruction. Every student has different capacities. With insights from MAP assessments, teachers can target areas of learning to support and challenge. Flexible grouping. Data from MAP assessments lets you define flexible grouping for instruction based on students' performance in specific goal areas. Proficiency projections. MAP tests align with state curriculum standards and provide an excellent indicator of how students will fare on state proficiency tests. Program assessment. A vast database of results enables analysis of program performance at every level, from classroom to district, and allows for rapid adjustments to maximize impact. MAP products include MAP, which covers math, reading, and language use for grades 3 to 12. MAP for primary grades can be used with K-2 students to assess math, reading, and language use. MAP for science, grades 3 to 12. For over 30 years, MAP assessments have been at the heart of NWEA's efforts to promote kid-centric education. We're pleased to say that in the time MAP assessments have been used throughout the country and across the globe, we have helped millions of kids achieve their dreams.
Okay, so I think that video really does a nice job of helping describe to parents exactly what the MAP test is. And it breaks up you talking the whole time. They might enjoy that. That's also a video that might be good to link on your school website if you would have a MAPS or assessment area. Link that video so parents know exactly what it is and they really understand that the MAP tests aren't reading over maps from MapQuest or Google Maps. Okay, so you might want to share that video to start out with, and then share the pamphlets, handout, or web page, and the reports that we've already mentioned. Give the parents all that information now that they kind of understand what the background of MAPS is. I would suggest then to divide into small groups to have discussion circles that are led by teachers. This is such a new area and parents might be intimidated to ask questions in a large group. So if they're sitting in smaller groups, maybe 3 or 4 parents per teacher, the teacher can gauge understanding and the parents might feel more comfortable to ask the questions. Some things that you want to keep in mind during your MAPS parent night are to speak in parent-friendly terms, like we talked about before. It's easy to start talking about the Descartes and the RIT score and things like that, but they won't understand them unless you explain them. Answer all questions that parents have. Encourage them to ask those questions and just be really open about that. Let them know there's no dumb questions. Also, be positive and encouraging the whole night. Just really welcome them, thank them for coming, kind of bend over backwards to let them know that you appreciate their involvement at school. We really want to focus on growth. Of course, that's always our mantra when we're talking MAPS. So parents might be concerned about below mean scores. You know, their student did not score well. And they're just worried or anxious about that. Remind them that the data provided will help guide instruction in the classroom. Say, this is our diagnostic tool that we can use so that the teachers know what your child needs to learn. And maybe list out some of the skills that you're going to be working on right within that classroom. Remember that scores show performance on one day. It's a snippet. And so, you know, even our strongest students will have a bad day testing from time to time. So if, you know, it's a really strong student and they bombed the test, well, it might have been that they were just having a bad day overall. Maybe they were sick, that kind of thing. And then also enlist the help of the parents and offer activities that they could help the students meet their goals. Many of those brochures and the website and things offer ideas for parents, ideas that they can reinforce at home. Websites, activities, games that they can play. And I think that's really important. Here are these interested parents who came to your meeting. Now you send them away with things that they can do to help their child at home. And I know as a teacher, I always had a newsletter every week, and I included ideas of things that they could do at home to go along with my curriculum. So you might even look if your school has a newsletter for the whole district, add those things in there every month or every week or whenever they go out. And remember, parents plus schools equals student success. We have a little video to close out our session with you. Well, thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a successful parent map meeting at your school, and let me know if I can be of any more help. Swanek@esu8.org.